crash and burn.
Hey everybody! So tonight I am looking to discuss Jello Biafra and DOA's collaborative effort known as Last Scream of the Missing Neighbors that was released, I believe, in 1990, I think, if memory serves. Now I picked this one up in high school. I didn't get into the Kennedys till grade 8 or grade 9, and I know that I got this cassette at the HMV flagship store in Toronto, and it was reasonably priced too. At that point, I never bothered to check for the CDs because I knew the CDs were always going to be so ridiculously overpriced that I was never going to buy them. So I picked this up, and it's at this point, you got to remember, when I bought this, I'm used to more songs on a release, and then considering that I'm a kid and I don't exactly have a job, and I hadn't figured out how to start stealing in order to make money yet, my income was limited. So I remember when I found this and it was reasonably priced, I'm like, dude, it's Jello Biafra. And I was never really that big into DOA. I know that DOA is sort of like Canada's Dead Kennedys, and I really respect Joey Keithley and company, but I just was never really able to get into their music. I don't really like DOA, but I do like how DOA gets kind of metal-ish at times, and the guitars are kind of chunky. I have been really able to appreciate that about them, and that's all over this record. And so when I saw that this record only had 6 songs, and it was like, $20 or whatever, and it's like, fuck, 6 songs. And one of them's a cover, so there's really 5 songs. I trusted Biafra, and I didn't really know what to make of DOA at that point. I'd only heard a couple songs from them, and like I said, I didn't love them. But I loved Biafra so much, and I'd already started to scoop up so much of his spoken word. And by this point, I think I'd gotten my hands on The Sky Is Falling and I Want My Mommy with him in No Means No. I think I'd picked that up by this point. And so I said, fuck it, and I bought it. And I'm glad that I did, because out of the 5 original songs, I absolutely love That's Progress, Attack of the Peacekeepers, Power is Boring. And the album closer, I can't say enough good things about Full Metal Jack-Off, which has to be a dig at the movie Full Metal Jacket. Jello Biafra has a gift for writing long songs. Now, sometimes this long songwriting sort of thing he has going does work against him. There's a few songs, for example, on The Sky Is Falling and I Want My Mommy. They're just too long. They just go on. Like, there's one song on there that's almost 9 minutes, and I felt it. And even my favorite song off that, The Myth Is Real, Let's Eat, that's pushing 6 minutes. So when Jello knows how to do a long song, he does it really, really well. But then sometimes some of his longer stuff kind of gets bogged down in this sense of like monotony, and it's just a little too plodding. And there's something about some of his longer stuff that I just don't love. And I mean, he's been writing long songs for his entire career. I mean, if you go back to the Dead Kennedys and you look at tracks like Riot or The Stars and Stripes of Corruption, they're not short, but they work because, well, the Dead Kennedys as an entire songwriting unit were really, really good at sort of feeding off of each other and throwing in these little bits of creativity that create a 6-minute song that isn't boring, that is as strong as a track like Riot, for example. God, I love Riot. But yeah, so a lot of the songs on here are long. Well, not really long-ish. No, wait, sorry, I shouldn't have said on here. A lot of the songs on The Sky Is Falling are really long. The songs on here, there's 6 songs clocking in at 29 minutes, and considering that the album closer, Full Metal Jack-Off, is 14 of those minutes, the rest of this record's kind of short and sweet. That's Progress comes and goes in 3 minutes, and that song is so catchy and so memorable, and I love the message about how simple it is. It's just that with us tearing down forests left, right, and center in order to build malls and industrial parks, wink, wink, and bits of suburbia in order to accommodate the fact that we're breeding like rabbits and consuming like locusts. I mean, I like the point that it's attempting to drive home. It says at the end there, had enough, I moved back home to the mountains where I belong, but ski resorts have tamed the Wild West. The hills we used to roam, now they're privately owned and scarred with cheesy suburbs and cement. So the track for sale sign promises deer in your backyard if the deer somehow can get past the fences and guards in the industrial park. So I get the message, I like the message, I agree with the message, but the thing that I love most is considering that's the album opener, and I was a little on the fence about spending $20 on 6 songs, woo, did that go a long way to quell my fears. Because Fuck, that song's fun. And then we had Attack of the Peacekeepers is amazing. Power is boring is super fun, and it does raise a really good point about why do you want excessive amounts of power, because then once you do, you can never really sleep in the same place twice. You need to be escorted around by a team of bodyguards, and you always have to be wearing body armor or some shit, because there's always going to be somebody there looking to take you out in order to steal the power from you. But then, my God, the cover of We Gotta Get Out of This Place is solid too, and I love the message because, well, actually, that's probably never been true than it is now in 2024, is it? We got to get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do. But then Full Metal Jack-Off, which, I don't know. The first time I heard that song, I knew that song was going to be fucking magic. You can just tell by the way it opened up that thing was going to be epic. I didn't expect it to be 14 minutes of epic, but it works. I mean, Ollie for president, he'll get things done. Ollie for president, he'll get things done, which again is a dig at Oliver North, who was involved in the Iran-Contra scandal in the 1980s. I don't want to bother getting into that. He lied a lot, basically. He said that the Reagan administration wasn't selling guns to the Contras, and the Contras ended up killing a handful of American nuns or something in one of their attacks. And this is going back so many decades. I apologize if I'm getting some of this wrong. But nevertheless, Oliver North lied a lot. And that's what he's remembered for. Some people said he looked really good in the uniform. Other people said, what did it matter? He was defrauding America. But yeah, so the last song, it touches on so. I love the part where the neo-Nazi boot boys that the cops never seem to arrest prowl the neighborhoods with baseball bats. Why do they get so much press? And that was the God honest truth. Because when this record was released in 1990, that whole Nazi skinhead movement in the West was starting to jump off, but it wouldn't really jump off, at least as far as I was concerned, with all the shit I had to deal with back in high school, till about 94, 95. But for Jello to sort of see it coming down the pipe, again, just speaks to his strength of being able to identify societal problems, societal issues, with a seeming amount of ease. Just seems like Biafra always kind of had his finger on the pulse of what was wrong with America, or the West for that matter. And he was really good at that, because he was talking about like the neo-Nazi thing in 1990, but then you'd blink and like Nazi skinheads by 95, they were everywhere. Like they were all over where I was growing up in Pickering. They were fucking literally everywhere. And so again, so for Biafra to sort of guess that tricky U-turn was coming was kind of cool, because I know that there had already been some evidence of the Nazi skinhead movement coming up through the late 80s with Tom Metzger and his war movement, for example. They were big in the mid to late 80s, so Biafra would know about this. But up here in Canada, things were kind of quiet in 1990. 1990, it was all like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Ugly Kid Joe and shit. So we didn't really see the Nazi skinhead movement happening, even though Canada has always sort of been a safe haven for those people. And then all of a sudden, boom, high school hit, and there are fucking skinheads everywhere. I also like how, despite the fact that it's 14 minutes, I know every word. I've listened to Full Metal Jack-Off. I've listened to Full Metal Jack-Off more than I have any other song on this record. Whenever I put this record on, that's the first song I listen to, because I just absolutely love it. And I just realized that this is almost 9 minutes, so I'm stopping. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost 9 minutes while I discussed Jello Biafra and DOA's 1990 release, Last Scream of the Missing Neighbors. Like always, if you love this review, love this review. If you love this record or you like this review, don't forget to go out and do something nice for somebody. And remember, that's really simple. Just hold the door for somebody or give $1 the next time you're at Walmart and they're asking for it. Sure, they're going to use it as a tax write-off, but what did you expect? Of course they were going to. But most importantly, like always, please never forget that the world is so much more fun because you are in it. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night.